Now students, let us know what are oxidation and reduction reactions. Oxidation reduction reactions. Students, let us know what are oxidation and reduction reactions. Students, this is a very important topic. First of all, let us know what is an oxidation reaction. Students, there are two views to tell what is an oxidation and reduction reaction. First of all, let us know these oxidation and reduction reactions according to old concept. So let us see what old concept says. Now students, according to the old concept, oxidation involves, students, this reaction involves the addition of oxygen element or removal of hydrogen. Students, there can be removal of hydrogen or any electropositive element. Students, electropositive element is the one which can easily lose electron to form positively charged ion. So students, see what is an oxidation reaction. In oxidation reaction, there can be addition of oxygen, or there can be removal of hydrogen or any other electropositive element. This is our old concept about the oxidation reaction. Now students, let us see a reaction based on this concept. We know that magnesium burns in the presence of air. So that is the magnesium reaction with oxygen. Now students, we know that magnesium ribbon burns in the presence of air, in the presence of oxygen, to give you white colored powder, that is of magnesium oxide. Now students, let us see whether this reaction is an oxidation reaction or not. Students, this reaction is categorized under the oxidation reaction. Why is it so? In this reaction, you can clearly see that there is addition of oxygen to magnesium. So students, when oxygen adds to magnesium, it gives you magnesium oxide. So what we can say here, that this element, magnesium, is getting oxidized in the reaction. So this is oxidation reaction. So magnesium, students, is getting oxidized. I hope students it is clear to you why it is a oxidation reaction. Now next, let us learn what is a reduction reaction. What is reduction according to old concept? Students, reduction is just opposite to oxidation. In oxidation there is addition of oxygen, but in reduction there will be removal of oxygen. Here it is the removal of hydrogen, but in reduction there will be addition of hydrogen, or it will be addition of electronegative element. Now students, let us see what will be there. So it involves addition of hydrogen or removal of oxygen, that is opposite to oxidation, removal of oxygen or electronegative element. Students, electronegative element is the one which can easily gain electron to form negatively charged ion. So students, opposite to oxidation, reduction involves the addition of hydrogen. Addition of hydrogen or removal of oxygen or electronegative element. So students, let us see an example for this. We have copper oxide. Students, we know that the color of copper oxide is black. Now when copper oxide reacts with hydrogen, so we are adding hydrogen to this. Now students, after the reaction, the products that we get are, one is copper. Copper, students, what is the color of copper? It is red brown in color, we already know. And the second product we get is water. So students, this is the reaction. In this reaction, copper oxide is reacting with hydrogen to give you copper and water. Now let us see students, what is getting reduced here. Now students, you can see here, copper oxide is getting reduced. Now students, copper oxide is getting reduced. Let us see how. Students, we know that here we have written that reduction involves the removal of oxygen. So here in the reactant you can see there is copper oxide, and from this copper oxide oxygen is getting removed to give you the product which is copper. So students, this is a copper oxide is getting reduced. I hope students it is clear to you. Copper oxide is getting reduced because there is removal of oxygen. As the reduction reaction according to the old concept says that either the addition of hydrogen or the removal of oxygen comes under the category of reduction reaction. I hope students oxidation reaction, reduction reaction according to the old concept is clear to you. Next, let us learn about two more terminologies. Those are oxidizing agents and reducing agents. Let us know what are these. First of all, what are oxidizing agents? Students, oxidation means the addition of oxygen. Now here the terminology used is oxidizing agent. Now students, we know in general that an agent works for somebody else. Now students, this oxidizing agent actually works for the other substances. So it actually oxidizes the other substance. So let us write, it actually oxidizes the other substance. Students, when it will oxidize the other substance, it will actually get reduced. So oxidizing agent works for the other substance. When it is oxidizing agent, it means that it is oxidizing the other substance. So it oxidizes the other substance, itself getting reduced. So this is what is oxidizing agent. Now what is the reducing agent? Students, this reducing agent works opposite to oxidizing agent. Now when it is reducing agent, it will work for somebody else. So that will be, this agent is actually reducing the other substance. This reduces the other substance, and what will happen to the reducing agent? Itself getting oxidized. So students, what is an oxidizing agent? It oxidizes the other substance, itself getting reduced, whereas reducing agent reduces the other substance, itself getting oxidized. Let us see an example, students. I am taking the same reaction of copper oxide with hydrogen, and the products that we get is copper metal plus water. Now students, let us see what is happening here. As I told you before, in this copper oxide, from the copper oxide, oxygen is getting removed, and removal of oxygen is what? It is the reduction reaction. So let us write what is happening here. Actually, copper oxide is getting reduced. So what is happening here? Reduction. And what happens to the second reactant? Students, see here, hydrogen is actually, in this hydrogen, oxygen is getting added to give you water. This is in liquid state, hydrogen is in the gaseous state. Now students, what is happening here? To the hydrogen, oxygen is getting added to give you the product water. So when oxygen is getting added, this reaction is oxidation. So what is this? Oxidation reaction. So this is oxidation. I hope students it is clear to you. From the copper oxide, oxygen is getting removed, therefore it is reduction reaction. To hydrogen, oxygen is getting added to give you water, therefore it is oxidation. Now let us see which of the reactants is acting as oxidizing agent and which is acting as reducing agent. Now students, this copper oxide is providing oxygen to hydrogen. Therefore it is oxidizing this, and when it is oxidizing hydrogen, this is acting as which type of agent? It is acting as oxidizing agent, itself getting reduced. So students, here copper oxide is acting as oxidizing agent. I hope students it is clear to you. Here copper oxide, which is oxidizing hydrogen and itself getting reduced, is the oxidizing agent here. Now students, which is acting as the reducing agent? Students, here hydrogen is acting as the reducing agent. Why it is acting as the reducing agent? Let us see. Now students, the work of the reducing agent to reduce the other substance. Now as this hydrogen is removing oxygen from copper oxide to give you the product water, therefore when it is removing oxygen from this substance, therefore it is acting as the reducing agent, reducing the other substance and itself getting oxidized. So students, here the oxidizing agent is copper oxide and the reducing agent is hydrogen. I hope students, from this reaction, oxidation, reduction, oxidizing agent and reducing agent is clear to you. Next students, let us see further more examples. Now students, one more thing here, in the reaction in which oxidation and reduction both are occurring simultaneously, that type of reaction is known as redox reaction. So let us learn more about redox reaction. Now students, let us study what are redox reactions. Redox reactions. Students, when we split this word redox, we will get two words. Now students, when we split this, we get red plus ox. Students, this red represents reduction, whereas this ox represents oxidation. Now students, let us see what is the redox reaction. So a redox reaction is the reaction in which both oxidation and reduction reaction takes place simultaneously. Now students, let us see what is the redox reaction. It is the reaction in which both oxidation and reduction take place simultaneously. Now let us see an example students. Here the example I am taking is of hydrogen sulfide. Now students, if we have hydrogen sulfide and it reacts with chlorine, the products that we get are sulfur plus HCl. Now students, let us see whether this is a redox reaction or not. For a redox reaction to occur, in that simultaneously both oxidation and reduction should occur. Now let us see what is happening students. We know that reduction is addition of hydrogen, whereas oxidation is removal of hydrogen. Students, if one of the reactants you see is hydrogen sulfide, from this hydrogen sulfide, hydrogen is getting removed and the product that we are getting is sulfur. So students, this reaction is oxidation reaction. So what is occurring here? Removal of hydrogen is occurring. So here removal of hydrogen represents what? Oxidation. So students, this hydrogen sulfide is getting oxidized. So here oxidation is occurring. What about the second reactant? Students, to this reactant, chlorine, hydrogen is getting added. Now students, when hydrogen is added, that reaction is known as reduction reaction. So here it is addition of hydrogen. And students, addition of hydrogen is what? It is reduction. So students, when both oxidation and reduction reactions are occurring simultaneously, that reaction is known as redox reaction. Students, this is very obvious. If one is getting oxidized, the other should be there to reduce that. So students, this is a redox reaction. This is getting oxidized only when chlorine is there, because it is removing its hydrogen only when chlorine is there to accept that. So both reactions are occurring simultaneously, and that reaction is known as redox reaction. Students, I hope it is clear here. Now one more thing, which reactant is acting as oxidizing agent and which is acting as reducing agent? Now students, here chlorine, you can say chlorine is accepting hydrogen, so it is oxidizing this thing, so it is acting as oxidizing agent, whereas hydrogen sulfide is acting as reducing agent. So let us see which is acting as oxidizing agent. Students, in the above reaction, oxidizing agent is chlorine, whereas the reducing agent is hydrogen sulfide. I hope students this redox reaction is clear to you. Students, let us think one more thing. Now let us see what is oxidation and reduction in modern concept. So, what our modern concept says? Students, according to the modern concept, what is oxidation? Let us see. Students, according to the modern concept, oxidation reaction is the one in which loss of electrons occur. So oxidation involves loss of electrons, whereas students, reduction reaction involves gain of electron. Students, so oxidation involves loss of electron, and then when there is loss of electron, the positive electrovalency increases. So I can write or increase in positive electrovalency. Similarly, students, here when there is gain of electron, then the negative electrovalency increases, or increase in negative electrovalency. Now students, for the memory aid, we can learn the oxidation and reduction in this way. We can learn two words, one is oil and other is rig. Now students, oil represents oxidation is loss of electrons. So students, it will be more easy to learn this way. Oil represents oxidation is loss of electrons. So what this rig stands for? Reduction is gain of electrons. So let us see an example, students. If we have ferrous iron is Fe2 positive. Now students, when it loses electron, so I can show the loss of one electron. So when this ferrous iron, this is ferrous iron loses one electron to give you ferric iron, which has formula Fe3 positive. So this is ferric iron. Now students, when there is loss of electrons, so loss of electron is oxidation. Therefore this is oxidation which is occurring. I hope students with this example it is clear to you. Now students, if we have ferric ion, Fe3 positive ion. Now students, when this ferric ion, there is addition of one electron. Students, so when one electron adds to this ferric ion, we get ferrous ion with formula Fe2 positive. So students, when there is gain of electron, so gain of electron is reduction is gain of electron. So therefore this process is reduction. So I hope students, according to the modern concept, oxidation and reduction is clear to you. Next we will study what is oxidation state.